Hey, what's up? What's up, everybody? This is Jeff from BKJMAC TV, and this is the BKJMAC podcast experience coming to you live from Brooklyn, New York. This is season 4, episode 7. I'm sorry about my voice right now; it's a little hoarse. Tonight we're gonna be talking about the Bob Marley movie, One Love. I had the pleasure of seeing that movie this past Sunday on at 14th Street, the Regal movie theater on 14th Street. Now let me tell you, the Regal movie theater on 14th Street is a spectacle. It's a beautiful movie theater. I encourage anybody who needs to go out to the movies to go take their dates out to the Regal movie theater on 14th Street. Very nice, very spectacular. Anyway, back to the main event at hand. One Love. Now, the movie's been making tremendous wave. It has made over $120 million at the box office combined domestically and globally, and it still has more money to make. Now, looking at it, watching it, it got a 42% on Rotten Tomatoes. And I asked myself, why did it got 42% on Rotten Tomatoes? Now, watching the movie, I was just like, I like Kingsley and what he brought to the role of the late, great singer, Bob Marley. Now, his performance was very enduring. It was very passionate. It was very intense. You felt like you were watching Bob Marley on the screen. Now, I felt like there were some shortcomings in the movie. I had watched this TV series, Autopsy: The Last Days of, and this one was about Bob Marley. And one thing I learned about him was he had developed cancer in his big toe when he was younger, and he had a chance to remove his big toe, but because of his love for the music so much and how much he cared about appearing for his fans, he lived for his fans, he lived for the music, he couldn't go through with the procedure, but he had another procedure, but the doctors didn't clean out the toe enough, and because of that, the cancer spread from his toe and all the way across his body until he died in 1981. And I felt like the movie didn't really hit on that. I felt like they made mentions of it, and they talked about 7/7/1977 when he got the diagnosis, the 7/7s, and I found that particularly interesting. Now, I felt like the movie was designed to showcase that when he was an emerging superstar in Jamaica, and he was shot and chased out of Jamaica. He left Jamaica, and then he came back. He rebuilt himself, and his music, everything, basically rose to prominence, to new highs. And he came back to Jamaica as a superstar. And the ending to me was just like he went on stage and performed, and that was the end of the movie. And I felt like, man, I wanted more. I wanted more of Kingsley as Bob Marley on the screen. And I felt like it just wasn't enough. I felt like they were really painting a limited narrative. And I felt like I wanted to see more, because he did such a magnificent job of bringing out Bob Marley on screen. I really wanted to see more. We're going to go to this review. It's a trusted review that I always go to is the RogerEbert.com. Now, Roger Ebert was a well-known film reviewer and critic. He passed away from cancer a few years ago. But the website he has established, his critics, writers have taken over and continued his legacy and his work. Now, they gave it 1 star. Now, I disagree with that, but let's see why they gave it 1 star. This is by reviewer Robert Daniels, written February 14, 2024. He starts off with, "What's the point?" It's a question I ask myself over and over again throughout the intermineral slug that is Bob Marley One Love, a flattened biopic devoid of a perspective or originality. It follows a long list of musical origin stories that feel designed to sell new pressings of former hits more than tell an engaging story, rather than tell an engaging story. For all the faults of glib films like Bohemian Rhapsody or Whitney Houston, I Want to Dance with You with Somebody, they at least finged some interest in their chart-topping subject. But between uneven plotting and unconscionable vivid dialogue, One Love acts as though Marley the person is a record skip, spoiling its jukebox spin. Now let's do that again. One Love acts as though Marley the person is a record skip, spoiling its jukebox spin. I don't understand that. I don't think, honestly, I think that was a bit too harsh of a criticism. Now I felt like there were things that were going back and forth. I think they were trying to make a connection between his childhood and the trauma that he faced as a child and how it impacted his adulthood. And I think it was a journey that he was facing as he was building up his courage to come back to Jamaica, because he was hesitant because he got shot and he just was fearful, and he sent his family away, and he needed to rebuild his image. He needed to rebuild his toughness to go back to Jamaica. And I felt that part of the critic was uneven. I'm not a big fan of that part. Leonardo Marcus Green, the film's director, stands as the easy culprit. While his debut, Monsters and Men, signaled some promise, he found that intriguing work with the true story of Joe Bell. You should give him a pass on that miss. After all, he came to the project late. But then he helmed King Richard, a sports family drama that netted Will Smith a Best Actor win even while he traded in caricatures. One Love sees Green once again relying on board themes, struggling and trauma, and the same cardboard concepts of real people that doomed his previous efforts. So he's making critics to the director's style is the main reason why he felt like the movie didn't do well in terms of telling the story of Bob Marley. Again, I would disagree. I felt like the director did a good job, enough to bring out the character of Bob Marley. Now, did he have to go back to so many flashbacks? I don't think so, but I think maybe it was to serve a purpose. We wanted to see Bob Marley's pain and what he had endured because his father had abandoned him. His father didn't want nothing to do with him while there was trauma in Trenchtown, so he was really with his mom. And so I think this critic was really off base on that one. He writes, the story directly spins 1976 through 1978. Marley, already a formidable political voice in Jamaica, is planning a unity concert to stop the violence inflicted by two warring political leaders. We're quickly introduced to Marley's big family. The singer had many kids through his wife and affairs. In fact, the film does note his supportive wife Rita and his nefarious manager, and a few members of his backing band, the Wallers, with his home being located in a compound surrounded by high walls and men with machine guns. We already get the sense that Marley's life is persistently in danger. We also learn that he loves jogging and soccer, and that's about it. For a time, the film tricks you into thinking it's about the Smile Jamaica concert. Unfortunately, we zoomed through the gig as though the creatives are scared to go longer than the first 10 minutes without music happening. There's no sense of Marley's artistry, the political forces happening on the ground, or the imperative people in his life before Donald, Rita, and Marley are shot by assassins, one of them being an Underoos, Michael Ward, causing the ailing trio to leave the country. Marley and his wallet up for London, where they begin recording a new record. Rita and the family go to Delaware to live with Marley's mother. Why she lives in the United States is never fully explained, and she's barely seen on screen. So again, they were just pushing that narrative, a quick narrative. I think the producers, because it's not just the director. People don't understand this. When you get a script of this magnitude and they're trying to tell a concise story, they're trying to make sure they hit the points quick. And I felt like they didn't really flush out the other characters. And I think Bob Marley was just that man. They wanted to focus on from 76 to 78. And they were hitting points just to move the story along. And that's what I got in the movie. Other than that, let's zip past the end. Before the film began, a video message from Ziggy Marley, Bob Marley's son, played. He promised this would be an authentic depiction of his father. When it comes to art, I despise authenticity, which is by very nature of the word immediately presumes the existence of a definitive truth. I would rather have a sincere picture, a film interested in the naughtiness of a person and the complexity of the life they lived. One Love lacks that kind of rhythm, spark, and validity, the kind that gave Marley's soulful music its bounce. So that's what he said. And I felt like there was a missing substance in the movie to give you that cry. And I felt like, but I see what they were aiming for. The moment he came back to Jamaica with that unity concert to promote that unity, to quell the violence down in Jamaica. And this was that moment in his life. I think from that point on, they didn't really go into the aftermath when he suffered and the condition had taken him out, and the music, the working of the music. I felt like they were just describing that singular big moment and the factors that went into it. And that's the movie One Love. It was just almost like a song in a sense. I mean, other people wanted to see more. I know I wanted to see more. And I hope down the road they do make another Bob Marley movie that's more in depth and a more slower pace. Like I could say 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours. And I think a lot of people would pay to see that, to see a two hour and a half Bob Marley movie that really goes more in depth. And I think that's what the critics are talking about here. They want more depthness and more that they want to feel the emotion and all the way through. I felt like they got a half emotional ride and not the full experience. And they want more explained characters in the movie. They want to understand that real reality, that raw reality of the 70s and how tough it was for a man of that magnitude to live at, and to come back to it, knowing the fact that what was going on was political instability, and how he was able to bring unity back to that instability for the people of Jamaica. Definitely go see the movie and tell me what you think about it. And thank you for listening to this episode of the BKJMAC podcast experience. Peace, love, always. One.